This video is the most comprehensive introduction to the grooming gang scandal that has beset and rotted the British state from within that's ever been created, in my humble opinion. And you must be wondering, what does this have to do with American politics? Well, I'll tell you, the Labour Party, who are the chief architects of this national crime, are the British equivalent of the Democrats. And they have the exact same policies. And their mainstream media is the equivalent of our mainstream media. Creatures of the left. Do you know that tens of thousands of English white girls were targeted by organized grooming gangs? Grooming, primarily of Pakistani origin.
In the local data that the audit examined from 3 police forces, they identify clear evidence of overrepresentation among suspects of Asian and Pakistani heritage men.
If you didn't know about it, or you were misinformed that this wasn't a phenomenon, you can be excused because the media, the liberal establishment, the Labour Party, and the conservatives, I use the term conservative very loosely. When I say conservative, I'm talking about the Tories of Great Britain, have engaged in an organized and concerted campaign to not only hide the facts as they are, but to smear anyone who even brought this up as a far-right racist. But now, in what has to be one of the biggest turnarounds in political history, the British government not only admits that this was a phenomenon, they even admit that political correctness directly contributed to this horror continuing unabated for decades, while thousands of perpetrators went unpunished. And if this doesn't lead to the discrediting of the entire liberal establishment of Great Britain, I don't know what would.
People in Britain woke up to shocking news. In the small northern town of Rotherham, 1,400 young girls had been groomed, abused, trafficked and raped. Most of the victims were white. Most of the abusers were ethnically Pakistani. Fears of being seen as racist had contributed to a cover-up.
They were failing them because they were prioritising social cohesion over the victims of actual crimes.
But some have said that the story has been overblown, even that it's racist.
People in positions of authority have always been frightened of being called racist. The racial dynamics are irrefutable. There's always been tiptoeing around that fact.
And this is backed up by powerful, extremely distressing testimony from a rape gang survivor, Ella Hall, which is not her real name. She testifies that her abuse was racially and religiously aggravated. She was raped because of her race and religion, and her rapist told her while she was being raped that this was happening because she was white and because she was a Christian. And during rapes, she was verbally abused for being a non-Muslim. Now, she says, I was told that to show them respect, I mustn't eat pork. I was told that Muslim girls are good and pure, and they stay virgins until marriage, but all white girls are slags, and they all sleep with hundreds of people. I was told white girls are trash, they're all whores, they are lower than feces under your shoe, they don't obey Allah, so they deserve to be punished, they don't dress modestly. Muslim women are pure because they cover down to their ankles and down to their wrists, and the hem of their top comes down below their knees. White girls show the curves of their body, so they are asking for it. They should be raped as punishment for not obeying Allah. Sex with a kafir, which is a non-believer girl, doesn't count as adultery. They believed they had a position of religious moral superiority over non-believers. They believed it was their duty to punish us, as they believed that doing so made them good Muslims. This is what they were taught by their mothers. I was told that in Islam, if a girl or woman looks at a man who isn't her brother, father or her husband, then that means she wants to have sex with them. So I was told to look at the floor when I was around Muslim men. So when I did look at a waiter in a restaurant, I was then taken away to be gang raped as punishment. I was told that according to their faith community, girls are old enough for sex when they start their periods at age 11.
And if this doesn't enrage you, if this doesn't infuriate you at your deepest core, if this doesn't set aflame every cell in your body in revulsion, then you're not a human being. You're not a man. And this didn't just happen in the one city of Rotherham. This happened in hundreds of English cities. And when you Google grooming gang suspects, Britain, this is what pops up. Almost exclusively Pakistani men or men of Pakistani descent. In 2021, British Pakistanis made up 2.5% of the total population of Great Britain, with a total of 1.6 million people. Yet that 2.5% of the population commits 84% of grooming gang offenses. The Independent. British Pakistani researchers say 84% of grooming gang members were Asian. It's very important that we talk about it. Co-author of Quilliam's report urges frank discussion on abuse because problem won't go away. A think tank has claimed that 84% of people convicted of child grooming gang offenses since 2005 were Asian. In a new study, Quilliam says its researchers discovered differences in the way pedophiles from different backgrounds operated. Said white offenders often act alone, while child abusers from Asian backgrounds were more likely to work in so-called grooming gangs. The organization, which usually focuses on counter-extremism, said it found 222 of 264, or 84% of people convicted of specific grooming gang crimes in the UK since 2005 were Asian, which means Pakistani. And Haras Rafiq is Pakistani himself, a good, honorable Pakistani man.
Louise Casey to undertake a rapid national audit of the nature, scale and characteristics of gang-based exploitation. The findings of her audit are damning. At its heart, she identifies a deep-rooted failure to treat children as children, a continued failure to protect children and teenage girls from rape, from exploitation and serious violence, and from the scars that last a lifetime. She finds too much fragmentation in the authorities' response, too little sharing of information, too much reliance on flawed data, too much denial, too little justice, too many criminals getting off, too many victims being let down. In the local data that the audit examined from 3 police forces, they identify clear evidence of overrepresentation among suspects of Asian and Pakistani heritage men. And she refers to examples of organisations avoiding the topic altogether for fear of appearing racist or raising community tensions. Baroness Casey sets out 12 recommendations for change. We will take action on all of them immediately because we cannot afford more wasted years. So we will introduce new laws to protect children and support victims so they stop being blamed for the appalling crimes committed against them.
And what were some of the new recommendations that this report suggested?
New ethnicity data and research so we face up to the facts on exploitation and abuse.
New requirements on ethnicity reporting. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this incredible? The British government has finally admitted what they've been gaslighting the world about for decades. This is truly one of the most shameful chapters in British history.
I was the MP from 2010 to 2017 in Rochdale. The Rochdale grooming scandal broke as a story in 2012. I quickly came out saying that ethnicity and religion were a key factor in the abuse. The perpetrators had a very low opinion of the victims because they were Christian, because they were white, because they were working class perhaps, and they used that as an opportunity to groom them and to rape them. And I made this clear. I was warned off by a couple of significant members of the Labour Party. I was told not to mention the ethnicity or the religion of the perpetrators.
So you came under pressure from senior figures within the Labour Party not to mention ethnicity. Why were they doing that?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the most senior figure was Tony Lloyd, who was chair of the Parliamentary Labour Party at the time.
Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible. They're not interested in victims. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case.
What that will also show you when it comes to group-based offending is it comes in all shapes, sizes and forms. So whilst there is a real focus in terms of Pakistani Asian males grooming gangs, you will see from that data that it will tell you that there are other risks to children as well.
And the Shadow Justice Secretary suggested that these crimes are from predominantly British Pakistani men. According to your data, that's not true.
That's not true.
They are rape gangs, grooming gangs that I would call rape gangs. Tell me about them. How many of those have we got?
What a misunderstanding. Can she define what she means by that?
Yes. If you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people. But they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for you to misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
Today we need to give a full answer. Can she be clear what she means by that? I'm not clear what she means.
How much clearer do you want me to be? It's a simple question. The answer is very simple. It's yes or no. Do we have those sort of gangs in London?
I'm not sure why she's so nervous to say what she means. What do you mean?
No. I am saying exactly what I mean. I'm saying, have we got any of those grooming gangs in London?
I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If she could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
So we do have issues in London with young girls being groomed for county lines. Some of those girls are used for sex.
Approximately how many of those gangs have we got in London? Because the public is very, very rightfully concerned about this and concerned about these young women.
Well, I'm still none the wiser why she's so nervous about saying what she means.
And this government wouldn't be enabled to repeat such atrocious lies and stonewall if they didn't have their allies in the media. The Guardian, NSPCC warns against framing grooming gangs' problem as ethnicity-based. Braverman's claim about ethnicity of grooming gangs was false, regulator rules. Most child sexual abuse gangs made up of white men, Home Office reports. Are grooming gangs the far right's golden goose? The far right cynically uses child sexual exploitation to push anti-migrant and Islamophobia agenda. And then you even have the American media getting in on it. New York Times. What is the UK grooming gang scandal seized on by Elon Musk? The billionaire tech mogul has been posting on his social media platform about a decade-old child sex abuse scandal in Britain. Here's what to know. Certainly those who have scrambled onto the Musk bandwagon for whom the issue is significant primarily as a means of demonizing Muslims and justifying hostility to multiculturalism and mass immigration. Now that the evidence has become overwhelming and the government actually admits that this phenomenon occurred and was widespread, look at this. The media now admits it. The media now writes articles bemoaning this injustice. The Economic Times. The grooming gang scandal is a stain on the British state. NDTV World. Not racism, just facts. British Pakistanis call for honest dialogue on grooming gangs report. Organizer. UK grooming gangs, the rapist from Pakistan. Grooming gangs in the UK, the rape of a nation. First Post. Britain, how Pakistani rape gangs run amok as the state is obsessed with political correctness. So the media Politicians, the entire establishment has been lying massively the entire time. This repudiates everything liberalism and mass migration stands for. Diversity is not our strength.